thing of it is, we have to preserve and protect it. Not that it's going to ever fade away completely, but our rights to observe it and participate in those traditions may indeed be impeded by the very government that we've got in place. As he was saying about secularism, in the United States, it would never be allowed or approved by the people in general if the government came in and started to dictate which churches could be run freely by the different religions or those that had to be governed by or managed by the government. This would never go over completely. It would be like Big Brother coming in, and of course in the United States there would be a big commotion, big outrage, big demonstrations. So we're having here, and I'm participating in this little demonstration that we're having, which should have been also participated in great numbers of people of India, because Indians in general sometimes give the impression that they don't even care about their own culture. So we want to let people know that those of us in America are appreciating Indian and Vedic culture in particular, and there's more and more people that are adopting different Vedic traditions and beliefs. So if Americans are beginning to appreciate your culture, then it is imperative that you appreciate your own culture, because it's up to you to maintain India as the homeland of a dynamic and thriving Vedic tradition. That's why many of us Westerners come to India. Now, I'm not talking about the older tourists that come to Agra, Delhi, and Jaipur. I'm talking about those of us that are interested in absorbing your culture. Those of us that go to Badrinath, Pushkar, Varanasi, Tirupati, Kanchipuram, those places, because we're interested in absorbing your culture. But it's your culture which makes the temples thriving with authenticity and vibrant with its tradition. And those are the type of temples that you need to make sure that you save and protect, so that we can follow the tradition to the degree that we want to. Not that we have to follow them only to the degree that the government lets you, because that's a whole different issue. And that's what we have to make sure does not happen. So this is one of the reasons why I'm here, because I've been following Vedic traditions since I was about 20 years old. So, and that's one of the things I want to emphasize, is that it wasn't like I grew up in your culture and now I take it for granted, which many of the youth here in India seem to do. I had to fight for it. I grew up in a Christian background. I grew up in a Protestant family, and I wasn't satisfied with what I was given. So I went out on my own to research what Vedic culture had to offer. And so after fighting to attain my right and my level of participation, I'm not going to let or want to let anybody take that away from me. So we have to understand, the Indians as well have to realize how special your culture is, and make sure that you're not going to let anybody take that away from you. Because if you aren't aware now, if you're not awake now, later on it may be too late. And once it's too late, you'll only realize what you've lost after the fact. So I am here from America trying to convince you all that it's important not to let that happen. Because if I have been upgraded in my life, if I have advanced in spiritual consciousness because of your culture, then you have to realize how many other people around the world have benefited in the same way. You have no idea. In fact, right now there's been a poll in America which shows that as much as 25% of the American population have adopted some form of Hindu belief or practice. And 7.5% of the American population is known to practice yoga tradition on a regular basis. So and it's growing all the time. So if this is the case, then you can only understand how important your culture is for those of us that have adopted it. So we want to encourage you, the regular Indian population, Hindu population in particular, to don't take your culture for granted. Many people are appreciating it. Many people are investigating it. Many people are adopting it. So don't let this flow through your fingers without really understanding how important it is to so many of us throughout the world. And I'm just talking about America. I'm not talking about Australia, New Zealand, Europe, all these other places that are adopting the practices of Vedic tradition. So try to understand how important this is and participate in it. Join with those people here with the Global Hindu Heritage Foundation and participate in making a difference in what India has to offer, because I am convinced that Vedic culture is the last bastion of deep spiritual truth. I have investigated all the religions, and there is nothing so elaborate, nothing so dynamic, nothing as profound, nothing that has all the answers that Vedic tradition has. And I'm not saying that because I am an Indian. I'm saying that because I've done my own research. I have done my own investigations. And this is my honest-to-God result from the research I've done. Of course, that's why I've also produced 15 different books that I've authored myself, so that people have an easier way of understanding what Vedic tradition has to offer. Of course, I mostly write for a Western audience, but I try to simplify it so anybody can understand it. And interestingly enough, many Indians also like the books that I've written. So if that's the case, please try to participate in preserving and protecting your culture and making sure that our freedoms to observe this culture last generations and generations into the future. So thank you very much.